You are now tuned in to United Football Media. Tell me about it, the premier wraparound show covering the premier spring football league, the United Football League. Today, I am joined by one of the hottest up-and-comers in sports TikTok, sports YouTube, Taste Takes LLC. I am joined by a writer, a musician, a former sports commentator, True, and I am joined by one of our UFM correspondents. He covers the Memphis Showboats on the Captain's Log podcast right here on United Football Media. He is Brandon. On our forever lost to time pilot episode that we shot, we had some questions about the rankings and the belief in these Memphis Showboats, since they were not a winning team last year. They are going to be in deep competition, I think, for this second playoff spot against the Houston Roughnecks. We were a little surprised to see the Memphis Showboats ranked so highly in the initial power rankings that United Football Media put out. And we were a little surprised to see my guy Brandon right here going through the schedule for the Showboats and saying that this game against the XFL champion Arlington Renegades is going to be quote unquote easy. Don't take it back. You can roll the tape, brother. I saw it. So please break it down to us. What is going to make these Showboats competitive for this playoff spot? How are they going to have an actual winning record this year? And what makes this Arlington game so easy?
All right. Let's take it from the top. First of all, I'm glad you guys are here. Okay. I want to give a big UFM welcome to the boys right here. Glad that you guys are taking over for us, giving us a Monday show for the people, a little round table. We tried to do it, but we got so many guys doing so many different podcasts that it's a little tough. So appreciate you and the guys for doing this for us. When it comes to the boats, man, we put out the initial training camp roster back when it was set at the initial 75. We did some rankings within the group, as you've seen before. Everybody voted. I'm not the only one that voted now, okay? But I will say I had the boats up at top 3, top 4, I believe, in my rankings. We're bringing in a guy named Case Cookis. He was in the USFL championship game back in the inaugural season. Dude's a kind of Alex Magoo light, if you will. Alex Magoo kind of took off last year and made himself the MVP and whatnot. Case Cookis is like right below him, but Case has been dealing with some injuries because he likes to throw his body around. He likes to be mobile. I think that's a big part of it. And then Coach Flip that we got from the New Orleans Breakers, being a Showboats fan and a Bandits fan back in the first season. I've seen the New Orleans Breakers personally just destroy my teams for the past 2 years in a row. Coach Flip was a big part of that last year. He had an old man at quarterback named McLeod Bethel Thompson, CFL legend up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't know if we knew about the MBT legend. So
respect the legend, absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely.
I feel you. I was glad he came to the league. He made the Breakers look real good, and I think Coach Flip helped him look real good as well. He was trying to get that NFL shot, but it didn't materialize. So I think he's back up in the CFL right now. But I just like the offense that Coach Flip brings, man. The last 2 years, we've had Coach Todd Haley. Just never seemed to work with him. His offense just kind of, I don't know if he's just out of touch, if it's been too long. He had Cole Kelly last year, who is returning this year, and he was that Big Ben type, if you will, big 6'7" dude. Todd Haley had all of his success in the NFL with Big Ben Roethlisberger. So once you saw that not kind of work out, and Haley had his guy, first year Haley had Te'amu, who once Te'amu left the USFL, went back to the XFL, we saw him ball out, right?
Yep. So we're going to see it again.
So it seems like Haley might have been the problem there. But he had his guy last year in Cole Kelly. It didn't work out. We bring in Coach Flip, who's an offensive mastermind, guru, all them fun words. Part of that Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl run. He's going to bring in a new exciting offense, and I'm all high on it. I'm hyped up on it. I'm drinking the Flip Kool-Aid. We've got our DC from last year too, Carnell Lake. He was the only one that was kept on the staff. Coach Flip brought all his boys over from New Orleans. kept DC Carnell Lake. I like that a lot because at the end of the season, the Showboats defense was, I'd say, about top 3. You had the Maulers, who were definitely top 1, and then I felt like you could make an argument for the Showboats defense being number 2, number 3 at worst. So the continuity on the defense, I like a lot. We just saw the cuts come out today, and it feels like we're keeping a lot of the defenders that Carnell Lake worked with last year. So the continuity on defense and the new offense with Coach Flip coming in, Case Cook is leading the charge. I'm all in, baby. Go Boats.
Case Cook is going to be cooking. What do you think? And he was last year too. I do think that that's an interesting addition. That offensive coordinator with that quarterback, the level of quality play that he was putting out last year, I don't hate that part. What do you think is going to separate you versus the Renegades for that second playoff spot? Because I think we all feel like it's basically a shoe-in that we're getting the the Birmingham Stallions into that number 1 slot. So what is it you think that's going to put the Boats over the Necks? Because I don't know if anybody here expects a lot out of the Michigan Panthers. So it's basically down neck and neck, the Boats and the Necks. So which one of them do you think, what do you think the separation of the delineation between those two squads is going to be? I can see it being quarterback position because you guys have brought in such a stud, and it's a bit of a question mark on the other side for the Roughnecks.
Yeah, that's a big one right there. I think the quarterback situation, Coach Flip's going to say all the nice words, all the coach speak. Hey, it's an open competition. It's anybody's job. The best player will play. The best player is Case Cookus. You got Troy Williams too. He was also in the USFL championship just last year, but it's Case Cookus. He's just, if I rank the quarterbacks, I'd probably put Case Cookus around like 4. I'll give the love to Te'amu, McCarron, Stallions, got Matt Corral, who might, he might. I don't know. I haven't seen him in the spring league. I've only seen his failures in the NFL. So it's like, but he's got all that potential. Another thing for the Boats over the Necks, I think it's got to be the head coach. We saw Curtis Johnson last year and what he did with the Gamblers. Again, last year he didn't really have a quarterback either. He didn't trust the quarterback. It felt like he would. There was one game in particular where he pulls Kenji Bahar out of the game, subs in Terry Wilson, the backup, and the backup immediately throws a pick and just kind of threw the game away for him right there. So I don't know if I fully trust Curtis Johnson as a head coach and what he's going to do. I saw what Coach Flip did with the Breakers. I've seen Coach Flip, he's got that Super Bowl pedigree. So I think those two things are just a big separator. I think the quarterback for sure, head coach for sure. That Roughnecks defense, though, their front seven's nasty. I don't know so much about their secondary. If we've seen any of those clips that came out of the scrimmage, their secondary was getting cooked. I think 2 of those guys that really got cooked got cut the next day. So they brought in some more guys, but I think they got that secondary that's really weak. And I think the Boats offense can really take advantage of that.
True. Thoughts on, has my guy convinced you about maybe being able to separate and elevate these Showboats from the Roughnecks?
Remember, it's just USFL. We're not going against the XFL guys right now.
Well, I won't say he's convinced me. I think I said a little bit last week about kind of how I felt about the Showboats. A little bit. I think Showboats have a solid, solid defense. The offense. I think they're going to be. What did I rank them last week? Like middle of the pack, I want to say. Right? I think I had middle of the pack last week.
Yep.
So it's hard for me to. He's making a convincing argument. I hear everything he's saying. It's just I don't hold the Roughnecks in high esteem either. So it's kind of like you flip a coin. So it's not like he has to convince me. It's just more so of a you gotta see, I guess you just gotta see how everything plays out. They made everybody's making their cuts and you kind of see how those how those guys look and put it together, and it's different. It's different. These are supposed to be, in my opinion, the best of the best between those two leagues, and this has absolutely nothing to do with the play, the level of player skill. I am just always going to put Houston over Memphis no matter what. That's just a personal thing. That's a personal
I'll
thing.
take that.
But like I said, I do see a couple of minor issues with the Roughnecks that I could see the Showboats starting to be able to exploit. So there's a possibility. It's hard. Like I said, that's a flip a coin thing. You know, there's not a gap. To me, there's not a gap between those two teams. So, you know, unlike like we mentioned, the Stallions they're just so stacked as a team. They're so just well coached and well put together. I think it's hard to see anybody else kind of even really challenging them. But I refuse to concede. I refuse to concede that the Showboats are going to do anything. So I'm still going to say Roughnecks. I refuse.
I think the primary wild card we have here is Jarrett Garantano going to fulfill the potential that he had back when he was being recruited, back when he signed with Tennessee in the middle of Times Square. If that guy fulfills 80% of what we feel like he could be, then that could completely flip this argument around. And then all of a sudden, the Roughnecks would have a stud QB in their midst. So I think that's the primary wild card. If he can step forward out of that group of quarterbacks down there in Houston and fulfill the potential that we all thought he had once upon a time, then I think that we could see that could be the difference maker. Tay, are you convinced by my guy up here? Do we underrate the Showboats? Are they going in over the Roughnecks?
One thing, I think you guys are getting a little hung up on the power rankings too much. Okay.
Oh no walking back! Don't you dare!
Said it.
Don't you? I heard you.
On the USFL side,
say. I heard you say the Arlington Renegades XFL champions are going to be an easy game. I don't want to hear none of that right now.
Crazy.
All right, go ahead.
That is a crazy statement.
Big Tay.
Did he convince me? No. But he has some good points. I mean, I think Arlington's a good team. Memphis, like I said, I think we pretty much agreed on middle of the pack. You know, like not the best and definitely not the worst. You know, they'll get into the playoffs, I believe, but when they match up with Arlington, I got Arlington. I definitely do. You know,
You're a renegade guy, Tay, aren't you? Aren't you a renegade guy?
I like the battlehawks.
There we go.
I think that's the best.
Everybody likes the battlehawks.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. Earlier, I went on DraftKings. I saw the championship odds and whatnot.
Yes, sir.
Put $100 on battlehawks, man.
There we go.
Yeah.
That is some belief right there.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I am definitely a battlehawks fan. But the Renegades, I just think they're a little bit better. I think I'm a big fan of the defense. You know what they got.
Adding Vic Beasley, big pickup.
Yeah. I like Luis Perez a lot. I think he'll have a big year. You know, I just don't think the Showboats really match with them well. Like, I think knowing different levels, honestly. Like, there's the top tier, there's the mid tier, and then there's, you know,
damn, the tier list is out. I would
say Memphis is the top of the low tier, if you ask me.
Oof.
Good.
There you go.
Let's see.
The Showboats and the Renegades, they play week 7. All right. By week 7, both teams should know exactly who they are. They should be either moving along good or in a rut or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that the Showboats are going to be on a good run. I didn't check at the Renegades schedule. I don't know what kind of run they'll be on, but I think leading up to that game, the Showboats will be in a good spot. Case Cookers will have the offense figured out. The boys will be buzzing. Carnell Lake, the continuity from last year, which I know the Renegades got that too. They got Luis Perez coming back. They got Bob Stoops.
Full camp.
I think Luis has a short leash, honestly. I've heard Holton Ahlers talking on his podcast. He keeps saying that, it's an open competition. Obviously, that's probably just coach speak. It feels like it's Luis Perez's job to lose, to me personally. He's got some young guns behind him.
We got some proof today, and that's a good segue to our next subject.
I wanted to jump really quick.
Right.
Because I heard him say the Showboats should be on a roll when they face the Renegades. You know who they faced the week before they faced the Renegades? They faced the Stallions. I don't see them being on too much of a roll.
They'll be rolling into that game, all right. Yeah,
That's a Memphis home game. That'll be our second time playing the Stallions in, I think, 3 weeks. So I assumed that we would lose the first one in Birmingham for sure, but I'm assuming we get our get backs in Memphis in front of the fans.
Now, the beauty of it is that they do face the Panthers, I think, the week prior to that. So the week prior to face them. So, I mean, that should be a slaughter. So, after that. But, yeah, I'm
interested to see what the fan support looks like down there in the Liberty Bowl. It's an awesome old school stadium. Memphis, it's a couple of years to kind of catch on. I'm interested to see the level of support because it's interesting to me how few pro sports teams are in Memphis. So.
And it kind of sucks for us because we've got a lot of 11 a.m. local kickoffs. So that's kind of, Memphis is in the South. I'm sure it's a pretty church rich, a lot of people at the church. We saw it in Birmingham. They had some 11 a.m. local games. And it's like, dude, people go to church, bro. Like people trying to go to church. And then
well, we were talking about it being Luis Perez's job to lose. And that kind of goes into our next subject this week. There was proof of that because Drew Plitt, the guy who began the season as started last season for the Renegades, was cut today. One of many, because today, or during recording this, today is Monday when you're watching this, cut day was yesterday. One of the biggest ones, I think, was Drew Plitt that went off the roster. Clearly, Luis Perez's job to lose, looking good in a full offseason, full camp. Bob Stoops' offense that's very quarterback friendly and very friendly to the traits that Luis Perez has. A couple of other ones that were interesting is that Deestroying, the YouTube creator, is going to be the starting kicker for the San Antonio Brahmas. All this was happening. I said Deestroying is the starting kicker, and all of these happenings are destroying our format that we had set up for today. And another, I think, shocking one that we were all kind of taken aback by, there was a couple of moves in the running back world, not so much as a cut, but Bo Scarborough retiring from football, much, in the surprising way that Max Borghi did in the offseason when he was going to come play for the Battlehawks. Bo Scarborough out for the Stallions. They still have an awesome backup running back, a guy who, they probably would have shared starting roles, guy who's the all-time leading rusher at Mizzou. I don't think that knocks the Stallions down a ton, but it does make them just a tiny bit much more of less of a juggernaut. But they got a good backup running back who's going to fill that role. Another one that shocked me was Jalen Samuels coming off of the Brahmas. We looked at the Brahmas as, we don't know where this quarterback situation is going to land. There isn't a lot of exciting things going on with that quarterback situation. Wade Phillips is the coach. Like, they got to be a defense, ball control type team. And then they cut one of those big time running backs that they had, somebody who I expected to be a top 10 player in this league. So I am very shocked to see that, very interested to see where he ends up. So going over the Tay, you perked up. You're excited about your fellow YouTube creator, Deestroying, going in there as the kicker for the San Antonio Brahmas.
Yeah, he has a big fan base, and we've been waiting to see him do these 60, 70-yard kicks in game. Like that's always the big thing. Can he make these in game? Can he really hit from 70 in game? So now we finally get to see it. That's one of the people I'll be watching for it. I know it's odd to hear that, watching the kicker, but I like kickers. Well,
anybody who came over from our other network, DAR Sports, they're not at all surprised to hear you up here talking about a kicker, because that was one of our classic moments over there. Tay loves his kickers. Yep. So
I love it.
So we'll save that discussion for another time. We're not bringing this filth over here to United Football Media.
Hey, we can do some kicker power rankings now. I got you.
But yeah,
That is
Deestroying, making it
good.
true. Pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know very much about Deestroying. I'm not, I'm old. I don't know, I don't know these. I don't know much about him. Like I've seen like one or two videos scrolling YouTube, and I think maybe I've paid attention to it. But it is interesting to put you know to put him in that position. I mean, like you see those videos, you hear about him. It's not my thing, but I'm like, oh, okay, like. So, and I know he played he played football in
Yeah.
college, and
UCF.
so I mean, I guess it's a seamless way to kind of get a ton of people to also tune in to watch what he does and see how if he can manage these kicks. So I think that's interesting. Um, I will go back to what Eric said about Jalen Samuels. That was a shock, big shock for sure. When you have a running back who has had some experience and can bring a certain presence, I think Jalen Samuels has a presence that I was obviously not a big fan because he wasn't like jumping off the page to me at
But he
NC
quite a
State back
bit
in
of NFL
college.
success for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, but he, going from the Steelers for multiple years. If you manage to be on a NFL roster for multiple years, I think that's something you should.
And there was
champion
thought that he was going to end up taking over that job. For a while, it looked like Connor was the plotter, and Samuels was bringing this juice, this electricity. Had some COVID issues, had some injuries, and he's out. He pops up here. I thought for sure we were gonna see huge things. And especially since there's just not really a ton of potential for the passing game, it doesn't seem like down there in San Antonio. So I thought for sure with the coach, with the players that they had, between him and Anthony McFarland, that was going to be a big time smash mouth team. And then they just released one of these running backs. I'm extremely intrigued to see where he ends up. Hopefully not the Memphis Showboats.
I don't see that, but it is very weird. Looking at it, I mean, does he go to, I don't know, Battlehawks maybe? Something like that.
I mean, they lost Borgie in the offseason. They're a juggernaut team. I think he would fit in well there, especially since they're going to throw a lot.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like I say, it's these cuts are interesting because some of these cuts you're just shaking your head like, really? Didn't expect that. But I mean, it all ends up making sense. Any sports league, right? Any sports league, you see somebody get cut, and you're like, oh man, didn't expect that. And then you see where they end up next, you're like, oh, that worked out great for them. So it's one of those situations where I think Jalen Samuels will be just fine. I have a thought on where he's gonna end up. I don't want to say it though. I don't want to say it.
Brandon, thoughts on yesterday's cuts, the first cuts?
Well, when you talk about Samuels possibly going to the Battlehawks, Battlehawks brought in Wayne Gallman, old New York Giants legend.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if they'll take another.
Think they're set. Yeah, I think they might be set there, huh?
But I mean, as we see, I mean, you really don't know who's going to get cut at any given time. I mean, the DC Defenders, they let go of Boogie Roberts. He's a Spring League legend, been around since XFL 2020. I just posted the Wildcats versus Vipers game from XFL 2020. Great call on there. Boogie on down, Boogie with the scoop and score touchdown. So, I mean, it's wild, man. Like for the boats in particular, it kind of shows you that you can't really put too much in the draft stock. It seems like, we had the dispersal draft. We had the super draft where all the teams that folded, all their players were up for grabs. And for the Showboats in particular, man, like it looked like Coach Flip got rid of about 4 or 5 dudes that he drafted from his New Orleans Breaker team, and then a couple other dudes that he drafted. So it's like, it's just kind of interesting, man. You're like, well, you drafted this guy, so you must have saw something, but then I guess they get into camp, you don't like what you see, so leave that up to the professionals. I'm not smart enough to make all these moves. I don't have the heart for it. I'd be crying, telling all these dudes that they're cut, like trying to provide for their families and stuff. So
I have something I was going to add at the end. Like, hey, man, if anybody's paying attention to this, like it ain't over. CFL is coming. You could always get another call when somebody gets hurt. The Elf is over there in Europe, starts up in the middle of summer. Yep, we got the Arena League. Like, there's still more stuff. Keep grinding, keep fighting. It ain't over till it's over. for sure.
Absolutely.
So
Speaking of arena teams, the Massachusetts Pirates, I'm not familiar with arena that big. I don't watch it too much, but I saw last year in the USFL, man, the Massachusetts Pirates sent like 4 or 5 guys, like one every week for like the last 5 weeks of the season that just got signed to like the USFL. And some of them were pretty good, some of them didn't work out, but it shows you like you said, I mean, you go to these other leagues, if you don't think you're too good for them or whatever, it's film, man. You just need film.
Yep.
You need
Catch
something
on.
to show these guys.
Catch on and keep it grinding. Some guys who have shown us some things is these people in this top 8 QB power rankings that got released by United Football Media earlier on in this week. I don't know if there's anything particularly controversial, but we were going to look into it a little bit here. We got AJ McCarron, Jordan Tiamu, and Case Cookus rounding out the top 3. I think we're pretty comfortable with that. I think that you could see.
Is that Case Cookus top 3? Oh, top. Oh.
I mean, Case Cookus tore it up last year. It don't mean he's still new to the system. I still don't see nothing else going on that roster. I still see that y'all got 3 guards right now.
We do have 3 guards.
Hey, poke the tiger, brother. Go and get it. All right. So Matt Corral and Luis Perez rounding out the top. I think there could be some movement there at some point. But actually, it's a pretty strong top 5 when you consider how on fire Luis Perez was at the end of the season. Full season in Bob Stoops' system. You got the high pedigree guy in Matt Corral coming into Birmingham, former top 3 pick, balled out at Ole Miss. And then, of course, AJ McCarron, Jordan Tiamu, both guys who killed it last season. Some other guys rounding out the bottom, Jamar Smith, probably going to get beat out by Matt Corral. I think we assume that. Can you tell us a little bit about Mr. UFL guy, EJ Perry, getting the ranking for the Michigan Panthers last year coming into this season? What do you think he's got for us? Also interested in Quentin Dormady going over to San Antonio from Orlando. He had the little caper with the playbook situation last year in the XFL, but looked very comfortable. Dual pass run option threat. Looked real good in spots. Maybe give San Antonio that little bit of life we're talking about where we're not really seeing where the passing game is going to come from for them. EJ Perry, Brandon, let's know a little bit about this guy and any rearranging that you see possibly happening in this power rankings by the end of the season.
Ooh, rearranging? I don't think so. I think the top 5 are the top 5. You know, you rearrange it however you want. You know, McCarron, Tiamu, Cookus. Those are your top 3. However you want to put them in there, I think those are the top 3 quarterbacks, hands down. When it comes to EJ Perry in Michigan, he came in from Michigan about week 9, I want to say. He was with the Jaguars practice squad, I believe, got released, went to the USFL, played for the Panthers. He had one amazing game in the game to get them to the playoffs. He did his thing. He got the Panthers into the playoffs, and I think everybody just kind of gets hung up on that. You know, he only had 2.5 games of real game tape in the USFL. The Panthers got a new offensive coordinator, though, who was with the Philadelphia Stars last year. Philadelphia Stars have always had a pretty good offense with Case Cookus at the helm, bunch of receivers, decent running game. So I think Perry has a chance to shine, having a full off season, kind of like Luis Perez will get. Danny Etling is the guy behind him, and then I think Davis Cheek is still there because they got to carry 3 quarterbacks. But
Danny Etling's an interesting guy as well. Real solid 40 time for a quarterback. Did some interesting things when he got some trick plays in the preseason for over the couple of years in the NFL.
Packers, right?
I believe the Packers and also the Patriots. So that interests me as well.
No scrub. He ain't no scrub. So I think EJ Perry, talk about a quarterback battle. That's probably a pretty interesting one there to follow in Michigan. I think EJ Perry gets the start. But again, you got Etling right behind him. Panthers, I don't know about their offense. I don't know. Their defense,
it wasn't looking good. Defense. No, that's what we said on the pilot. You're searching for answers on that offense, but defensively, they have a lot of guys who are versatile, a lot of guys with a big time experience. You got Kai Nakua, who's the all-time interception leader at BYU, running around on that defense. And you got a guy in Mike Nolan, their coach, who's a defensive savant for many, many years in the NFL. So absolutely, we expect the defense to be good. They have to find some answers on that offense. True. Any thoughts on any movement? Yeah, true. Any thoughts on any movement in this quarterback list?
Man, y'all know me, man. I always like to wait and see. I'm never the guy that's like, I think this person's gonna go there, because it's you just never know. Like it's the same for me when it's the NFL, it's the NBA, anything. I hate rankings because we're going in with a preconceived notion of what somebody was like the last time we saw them, and we're like, okay, so you like I haven't seen anybody that's gonna be like, oh, this person's gonna leap up in the rankings. I haven't seen anything like that. I like to just kind of wait and see. This is the first time we're watching, this combination of these two leagues together. So I don't have too much to say. I'd like to wait and see. Kind of, I've been trying to pay attention to some training camp and some of those things. I haven't seen anything that makes me feel like anything is going to change so far, but it's a long season. You got 10 games, so it's a long season. I agree right now with the top three. I agree, but I don't see it. I don't see that changing. But once again, I don't want to contradict myself. I want to wait and see.
That's no fun.
I'm trying to look. I try to give honest, fair takes and not jump out the window with the hot.
Just wait till the season starts. It'll get fun.
Oh no, I might say some off the wall stuff.
Tay, any thoughts on this quarterback list and any movement that you think?
I think y'all are sleeping on some guys.
Like who?
I'm Luis Perez.
There we go. Icy.
I really do think Luis Perez is gonna have a big year. I think he'll be he should be in the top 3. I'll put it like that. I personally think that's just me. I think we're kind of sleeping on Luis, but outside of that, everything's fine.
Top 3.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't want to say it because I'm the homer, but thank you, True.
Yeah.
Top 3. All right.
I think so. Yeah.
That's the first. That's the first close one. Of Tay's takes that we've had on the United Football Media. Hey. There we go. All right. Well, we will see. We hope that this show is rising up the ranks in your power rankings in the UFL coverage. United Football Media. Nobody does it better. Nobody is more comprehensive on the scene. And we will be back next Monday to cover. We're going to have some game predictions. We're going to be able to cover some games next week. So very excited about that. We thank you, Brandon, for coming on and facing the tribunal here after we were very anti-Memphis last week. That's awesome of you to come on and defend the honor of those showboats. He's a legend in Memphis. He can go anywhere.
I didn't expect to change any minds. Just know that I just came in with my homer takes. My boy Tay down there, he tripping. Luis Perez, off the bench merchant. Okay, if he ain't coming off the bench, he ain't nothing. He needs to be benched, and then brought in, and then he'll be good.
It's going to be a fun Arlington versus Memphis. Arlington versus Memphis week is going to be a good time around here. Don't go hiding now.
Week 17, I got you.
All of you out there, do not go hiding. Look for this show. Look for all the shows on United Football Media. That's why United Football Media rocks, because we got correspondents for every squad, as well as wraparound team stuff, just like you saw here today. Join us next week. This is United Football Media. Tell me about it.